Well, hey, it's good to be back. I haven't seen you guys for a while. I've been really busy getting the new space put together. It's not done yet, and I already have a few changes coming, but the key is we have a dedicated space that is going to change how I film and review products. Just to give you guys a quick tour of the new main listening space here, there's no seating yet, and I'm still making some decisions there. Also, the media console is going to be changed out. This one is just kind of filling the space until I either build what I want or find something that fits my needs. Basically, I just want something that's, well, a touch larger so I can handle some of the bigger gear in here. Right now, I'm a bit limited on space because of the depth and just general size of this one, so stay tuned there. Also, the wall here, it actually looks pretty good, but it's going to be switched out to acoustic slat panels in the next month. A brand has been in contact with me, so I want to check out their product and see what value these add beyond just looks. There's also a big blank space in the middle that's obviously already wired for a TV, so I'll be adding that as well. The TV isn't such a concern in this space for me, but it opens up the testing to more products, and a lot of products have HDMI. It's just good to have a TV too. This Cambridge Evo 1 was an absolute lifesaver during this room overhaul. All new paint, new electrical, lighting, trim, all that fun stuff that you think in your head can be done in a weekend, but in reality takes you 2+ weeks, was made so much more enjoyable having this little beast available to me. Its clean design was literally about the only thing clean in this room or in the whole basement here. I kind of had stuff scattered everywhere with all the painting and construction I was doing. It's a really good looking piece of gear, I honestly feel. It's sort of like a modern look. It has a good mix of materials that makes it look more like a furniture piece than a speaker. This all-in-one speaker actually crams 14 drivers in here, 4 1-inch solid dome tweeters, and 4 2¼ inch aluminum mid-range drivers. The low end arrives by 6 2¾ inch long throw woofers. No doubt you're thinking that's a really small woofer, and you're not wrong, but when you think about it as a whole, we are working with a surface area larger than a 6.5, so I can assure you the bass is there and it is actually good. You'll notice I mentioned several times in this video how this can be kind of like the extra space unit. It doesn't necessarily have to be your centerpiece, because a lot of us, we have our dedicated 2-channel equipment and we're probably not willing to take that out and put something like this in. But this gives you such a cool experience in so many other areas. So I just want to highlight some of those just so you can get a good idea of what those look like. And if you guys notice that there's some tags popping up in this video, I'm doing just something a little bit different with my affiliate linking. And so I just wanted to disclose that YouTube may compensate me for the usage of tags in this video. It's just something I wanted to put out there so that you guys know that and everything is transparent. As you can see, a unit like this can fit in so many different areas. You can move this around. You could have it in your kitchen. You could have this on a table somewhere. You could have this on a console. This is really one of those devices that can just float around your house where you need it, or you can just have it in that steady position in some side room, things like that, where you still want a really fun audio experience. But you don't want to put a whole giant dedicated system in there. It might just not fit, and that's fine too. And that's where these things are perfect. I really like the devices like this just because they can give you so much of the experience still and really fit into almost any space. So just wanted to highlight a couple looks there so you guys would have a little bit of visual behind that. The speakers are essentially wrapped around the entire unit of this one, except for this really clean display on the front here. The screen isn't a touch screen, but it's just under 7 inches and has really good clarity. It lets you see the album art and settings, and of course, lets you switch over to VU meters if you so choose. Can't leave that out for my VU or nothing people. This speaker did some really interesting things during my testing. The soundstage was not something that I was really accustomed to. It's not to say that it beats out a well set up 2-channel setup or anything like that, but what it does instead is it's sort of like a transformer for your room. The sweet spot isn't so much limited to like that single seating position. It feels more like it's an area, which is kind of unique on a product. Between their driver placement and the DSP, they do some really exciting things that make this a great set it and forget it device for a lot of people. I should mention there is no automatic room correction available, but they do include some tools that I found useful for better adapting the sound to your space if you're the type, that likes to tinker a bit. Before taking you into further on this one, let's continue the tour around the room for a minute. Over here I have my vinyl storage, and what I'm still contemplating is having a space for 2 turntables here. Possibly one with an cart, another with an MC, so I can easily switch between for testing. Plus I have a couple tables that I like to switch between, so this one's kind of just for me. So that'll likely be the rest of the space available on this wall. Once I have that all figured out, this might end up sort of being just kind of an all analog wall. If we go across the way, I have a shelf set up that's primarily storing everything I have in the queue for review at the moment. As you can see, it's a variety of budget audio products, some really cool Cambridge audio gear, We have some high-end streamers, including some new headphones, headphone amps, component switching, all kinds of fun stuff here. Eventually the walls won't be so bare either. I just haven't made it to that point yet. Right now I just kind of wanted to get this space film ready. What's going to be unique about this space is I plan to have 3 different filming sets, if you want to call them that. The main look at the front stage with all the audio video gear, a second spot back here that'll be for testing near-field speakers, headphones, desk tech, all that kind of thing, as well as my editing station. And then finally a third spot that's in the works over here that should give a unique look, and I think people are really going to enjoy that one, but more on that soon. Swinging back over to the desk, I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Flexi. They reached out and wanted me to test out their E6 dual monitor desk and their OC6 chair here. It couldn't have been better timing with the new space here. The size of this one is perfect for all the gear I test, and it's kind of built like a tank. The desk will support 355 pounds. Everything is built to what I would consider a high standard. The top I have here is their maple, then the white base. Over here is the controller for the dual motors. We had a couple cool features here. Obviously, really smooth travel up and down, and also presets so you can have personalized settings for sitting and standing, and then a couple other presets available to you as well. I honestly can't say I had any issues during the assembly, and most importantly, everything arrived safely and in pristine condition, which if you've ever ordered any furniture online, you likely understand this. Things usually arrive damaged. Flexi was great here though. There was no issues whatsoever. If anything goes wrong, you do have a 15-year warranty on the desk frame and motor, and 2 years for the control panel and electronics as well. Moving over to the chair, it's a really comfortable mesh material. I've sat in a lot of office chairs over the years working in IT, and chair comfort is something I never discount. It's just, it's not just the comfort either though. The support is actually the key for long sessions, and this gives you a lot of options to customize both. You can set your seat height here, as well as your back angle adjustment, tilt tension, twisting this knob to fine tune the level of resistance. And then if you look at the side here, we get a seat depth adjustment that can help you get the proper position depending on your height. Of course, the head support moves as you would expect, as well as the armrests. I'm definitely someone who needs a bit more lumbar support, and this one does provide enough pressure in that area to keep my back supported for longer sessions as well. I really just want to thank Flexi for reaching out. They carry a wide range of desk models, coming in all kinds of sizes and colors. They have a product that pretty much will fit in any price range as well. Now back to the Evo 1. Earlier I mentioned the 14 drivers on this one, and that's great, but if it's underpowered and underwhelming, who really cares? But in this case, each driver is getting 50 watts. The entire unit coming in at 700 watts. Well, I think that's how math works anyways. 14 drivers, 50 watts. Move some numbers around, 700. Basically, it's a ton of power on a product that I wouldn't expect to have it. I had no issues with volume or driver control on this one, up to really loud listening levels. It made the long painting days so much better having something like this. And that whole thing could have easily fallen apart if this was a pain to work with as far as controls and streaming, that kind of thing. But this one uses their Stream Magic platform that has been new to me over the past month, and something that I can actually recommend. The Stream Magic app has provided a smooth and intuitive interface for controlling the Evo 1. It's responsive, well-designed, and simple to use. I tend to be really picky when it comes to streaming software. If it's difficult to use and doesn't function the way you need it to, why even bother? Just switch to something that you know works and works well, because honestly, there's quite a few options out there that do. There's also just quite a few options that don't. It's something many high-dollar streamers miss, I feel like. They can include fantastic hardware, all the casework, but if the software isn't something simple, fast, and effective that, for example, anyone can operate without calling you and asking you how to turn on any type of music, that's what we're looking for. I personally feel like anything beyond that sort of misses the mark. This also does include a dedicated remote control that can make this product even easier to use for the person who isn't in control of the app. A lot of people will simply be using the Stream Magic app that covers all the functionality, but there's something to be said about having a physical remote in, arm's reach for the quick changes without having to mess with your phone. The Stream Magic software has been mostly seamless and really quite stable since I had this moving around the room with me as I was working on different things. I had it connected over Wi-Fi, and never once did I notice any lag or performance issues, without the wired connection in place. On the one, we have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, internet radio, TV eARC, Roon, UPnP support, Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, Deezer, Qobuz, and AirPlay 2, and Chromecast. and that's all built in. I really thought that e-arc was a nice touch too. This could easily fill the role of soundbar in your space, and with a quick switch, take over your audio duties. The clarity was pretty good on this, so I think it would be great for the TV side, TV movies, and the general size is good too for a lot of spaces. I think it could make a really interesting bedroom setup in some ways. I don't think it was designed to be the be-all, end-all device for the ultimate sound experience. I think it was tailored to fit and adapt to a variety of spaces, like a bedroom, without compromising the most important feature, the sound. If you do end up using this as a soundbar over HDMI, you can also control the volume with your TV remote as well. That's always important, as no one wants 10 remotes on their nightstand. If we flip it around, we also get digital and analog inputs, a built-in phono stage, Ethernet, HDMI like I mentioned, and USB. Really one of the only things missing here is a sub out, which would have been kind of handy to have if you wanted to take the sound on this one, a step further. Let's talk a little bit more about how this one sounds. Imagine you're firing up some of your favorite tracks, you bring up the volume on the EVO 1, and the first thing you notice is it has a large presence in the room. It's not like your 2-channel system that you dialed in with a microscope, but it's unique in its own way. There's a lot of, just presence in the room, like I said. The DSP is definitely doing some dirty work behind the scenes based on your inputs, and everything else is just sort of falling into place around you. The bass, while not coming at you in tactile waves, is tight and controlled without ever sounding, like a sloppy speaker that is working a bit too hard and overreaching to get that bass number they promised. This one stays in its lane, but still performs adamantly for its size. The mids have a neutral sound, not overwhelming in any way, and most importantly, not bleeding over into other areas that it doesn't belong. The highs caught my attention more than the mids. Vocal clarity was really good for this type of design, and if anything, I would call this sound signature a touch warmer than neutral. Strong vocal performances avoided any sense of harshness, just enough detail coming through for great clarity and realism. I did put this up against my 2-channel system as well, and while that did highlight some faults to the EVO 1 as far as placement and just the soundstage in general, it still did an admirable job as an all-in-one unit. And most importantly, it never sounded like a single box. There still truly is no magic replacement for traditional audio setups, no matter the configuration or fancy DSP. And that's okay though. This one is a lot of fun in the extra spaces. Think bedrooms, soundbar replacements, side rooms, all the places that'd be a great spot for music, but not a great spot to put a larger audio setup. This really gives you a bit of a new experience, and maybe most importantly, it can keep you sane while you paint your house like me. It's hard to find a fault in the EVO 1 when you're comparing it against its like-minded competitors. But if I had to point out a few things, one might be the sub out. I would love to integrate a sub here if I was using this in a stable spot where it's not going to be moved around often, especially if I'm going to be using this as a soundbar replacement. A lot of people honestly won't need it though, to argue the other side. It's more of a lifestyle product that adapts to spaces rather than owns them. There's also no automatic room correction. In a device that gets placed in suboptimal locations, a little automatic room correction could really go a long ways here. And finally, the all-in-one form factor is great for the consumer who needs a high-performance product for possibly a not-so-high-performance audio-friendly space, but that does limit some of your future upgrade paths in comparison to separate units. I personally think of this one more of the extra though. You have your main 2-channel system, home theater, and this one just picks up where those left off and opens up other rooms to really good audio experiences. And speaking on audio experiences, check out any of my other videos for products ranging from budget to pricey, and even some really fun DIY builds as well. Subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. I always appreciate your support, and we'll talk soon. Have a good one. Later. And with a quick switch, take over your audio duties.